I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was 13. Hi everyone, so welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing very well. I thought that today I would sit down and do sort of a little chatty video with you guys. Today's video is obviously going to be a little bit different compared to the other videos that I sort of post on my channel. But however, I just thought that obviously me being able to relate to obviously the topic of what I'm going to talk about today, that I obviously just thought that maybe I could talk about it and sort of engage with you guys a little bit more on sort of the subject, purely just because it has been one of those things that I find is not really talked about that much. But obviously if you were to type it in, you'd probably find loads of different videos, loads of different story times, etc around polycystic ovarian syndrome. So the term polycystic ovarian syndrome can be shortened to PCOS. And I just thought that I would make a video for you guys and just sort of go through obviously a few things about it. Obviously I was diagnosed with PCOS when I was 13, and I didn't really know that much about it when obviously I was 13. I was still very young, didn't really know that much about it, and for me the doctors just sort of gave me sort of like a brief overview of kind of what it was, but obviously at that age they don't really go into a lot of detail with you about it. So obviously for me, as I got older, it was one of those things where I was like, I know that I have this, but I don't really know what it is, so let's do a bit of research. Let's find out a bit more about it, what it is, and things like that. And obviously it became a lot more clearer when you get older about what these like medical conditions are, you know, the side effects, the issues that they cause in everyday life, and things like that, which obviously you don't really get made aware of when you are so young, obviously, like how I was when I found out. Obviously I am going to say I don't really know what the rules obviously apply to obviously talking about food and stuff like that, but I am going to just put a little bit of a trigger warning in this video, that I am going to be talking about weight and food as well. Obviously I just wanted to put that out there because I don't want to obviously start talking about food and weight and different things like that, and I obviously don't want to affect anybody in that way. But yeah, obviously I will put a trigger warning on this video. I know that it probably might not need one because it's just going to be a brief subject, but I always feel like it's always so important to include a trigger warning on a video, and obviously just to make you guys aware of sort of the areas that I'm going to be talking about. I just think that it's very important to obviously highlight that there might be a few bits in there that obviously might be a trigger warning for certain people. So yeah, on that note, I'm just going to get into it and I'm just going to sort of explain a little bit about how I got diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, sort of my symptoms, the symptoms that you can get, how it makes you feel, how it affects daily life and things like that. And also what I find helps me in terms of managing my PCOS every day and just general bits and bobs like that. And obviously just to see obviously if what I do might help somebody else, or you know, this is sort of like a safe space for people to come to, obviously if they're unsure of what polycystic ovarian syndrome is, the different side effects, things like that, and obviously if you obviously just want to talk about it in the comment section, and different things like that, obviously that's perfectly fine. This is obviously a safe space for you guys to do that on this video, and any questions obviously that you guys have, obviously please feel free to link them down in the comment section, and I will try and reply to any comments that I might get revolving around this topic. But yeah, on that note, I'm just going to get started with the video. So yeah. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is how I found out that I obviously had polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I'm also just gonna label and obviously let you guys know that this might be a bit too TMI for some people. So if you're not about like blood or things like that, then I would probably advise that you don't watch this bit or that you skip ahead. But it's only going to be like a little brief chat about blood. But obviously if that isn't your area, then obviously please feel free to skip over this part. So basically the way that I found out that I had polycystic ovarian syndrome was when I was about 13. Obviously I noticed that, for instance, with my periods and stuff, I would go quite long periods of time without having a period, and I started my periods when I was 10. So I think I started my periods just before I was due to start high school. So I think I started my periods in the summer of 2010, and then the following year I was going to high school, so I was 10, maybe 11 when I started my periods, which is obviously quite young for some girls. Some people obviously don't get their periods till later on, which is absolutely fine. It's just how your body develops, it's how your body functions, it's how your body works. So obviously being that age and starting your period, you already instantly have no idea what is going on. You're already like, I have no idea what this is. You know, you don't know what the cramping sort of feels like. You don't know how to describe the pain that you're feeling. So I remember the first time that I started my period, I had a period every month, the same day for about a year. They were consistent, they were normal, regular period flows, they were absolutely fine. Obviously nothing to be concerned about, they were just normal periods like you would expect a period to be. But then when I reached, I think I was about 12, 13, I didn't have a period for about 6 months, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I started my period, and I was on my period for 4 months straight. So I didn't have a single day of where I didn't bleed and then I would bleed again. It was just constant bleeding every single day for 4 months straight. And I can remember just feeling so weak, so tired and so exhausted. I had no energy to do anything. And I obviously just thought that it was normal, that obviously my body had just got excess blood that it needed to get rid of, and that's just the way that my body was developing, and certain things like that. I didn't think, oh, there's like an underlying medical condition here, or, you know, like there's something seriously wrong, because these are the type of things that they don't really teach you in school. So you don't really get into things that they could be or things that they might be or things like that. And I just remember that it really put me off. Food, I wasn't eating properly. All I wanted to do was just eat like chocolate and rubbish junk food. And I could barely eat a full meal because I just felt so bloated and so full. And half the time I was in so much agony with the pains that I was getting. Pain, you know, I tried pain relief, heat patches, hot water bottles, and nothing would soothe the pain. So after so long, I think I'd been off of school for about 2 weeks because I was so poorly, and I just couldn't focus, I couldn't concentrate, and all I wanted to do was sleep. So I ended up actually booking an appointment to go and see my GP, because at this point, the amount of blood that I was losing every day, I was probably having to change my pad about every 45 minutes, if that, and it was just horrendous, and it wasn't nice. So obviously I booked in with my GP, spoke to my GP and explained obviously everything that was going on, that I was feeling really lightheaded, I was feeling dizzy, really bloated and really full constantly, even though I was struggling to even eat a full meal. So obviously they do the standard routine where they will say, oh, we'll take your blood pressure, we'll book you in for a blood test, we'll check your temperature, your height, your weight, all that kind of stuff. And they checked for various other different things as well whilst I was there. Then I obviously had my bloods done whilst I was there, and obviously the colour of my face was very, very pale. I am a pale person in general, but I looked ill, like really ill. So my doctor obviously prescribed me some iron tablets because, not gonna lie, I was also struggling to go to the toilet. And yeah, so as you can imagine, it was painful when I went. So they obviously suggested, and obviously it came back that I was anemic. So they put me on some iron tablets, obviously to sort of boost my energy, to sort of give my face a little bit of colour. So I actually looked like a normal human being and didn't look constantly ill. So they put me on iron tablets. I then think I had to wait a couple of days until my blood tests came back. So my blood test came back, and it confirmed obviously that I had cysts on, or was it, I think that something came back not right with my bloods, and they wanted to send me up to the hospital because I was explaining obviously how bad the pain was. So they booked me in for a scan at the hospital. So I had to go to the hospital and have sort of like an ultrasound of my ovaries done. And when I obviously went to the hospital, obviously before this they suspected that it might be cysts, but obviously they can't rule anything out without obviously actually having any form of evidence. So obviously I went to the hospital. They did a ultrasound on my ovaries and found that I had and have multiple cysts on both of my ovaries. So obviously for me, being the age that I was, I didn't really understand a lot about it. Nobody else in my family has polycystic ovaries, so it's usually a genetic thing which is carried through women in families, but nobody else in my family has had it, and it's just a bit strange how it's just sort of come about. So anyway, went back to the GP. They obviously went through everything with me, and they said that they think obviously in order to help my periods and to sort of regulate my periods, to make sure I'm having a period every day, they wanted to put me on the contraceptive pill. And also at this time, I was breaking out really, really bad with acne. I had acne on my back, all over my face. And obviously, as you can imagine, as a 13, 14-year-old girl, my confidence was just at the floor. It was nowhere to be seen. I was so insecure because I remember looking obviously at my face in the mirror and just being disgusted by obviously what I saw, because at that age I feel like you're very vulnerable. Obviously, you know, your hormones are flying around, you know, and then you see all the pretty girls at school who don't have spots, who are just naturally pretty. And obviously it bothers you quite a lot when you're at that age. And honestly, if I could sit here now and talk to 14-year-old me, I would say just don't give a poop about what anybody thinks, because eventually your spots will go down, they will disappear. I mean, don't get me wrong, to this day obviously I still get breakouts, and from time to time I will suffer a bit with acne. I do have scarring from acne because I never listened to anybody, and I was forever like popping my spots. Gross, I know, but it's one of those things. if you've got somewhere to be and you've got a big zit on your face, it's just a habit. So they obviously wanted to put me on the contraceptive pill, so I went on the contraceptive pill. As I was saying, they put me on the contraceptive pill, and I went on microgynon. They recommended that to me because they said that with obviously me having the cysts, the irregular periods, and also struggling really bad with acne, that obviously I was already on like a antibiotic type medication for my acne prescribed by the GP, but they said obviously that the pill and this specific medication cream and stuff that I was on would sort of not combine well together, so they put me on that pill because they said that it contained something which helped with acne breakouts and certain things like that. So I went on the pill and I stayed on the pill until I was 20, I think. Yeah, 20. So that is a good time to be on the pill. It was a very long time. For me, I found that it did nothing for my acne whatsoever, but every time that I went to the GP and explained that I didn't think it was doing anything, they basically would just fob me off every single time and just say, oh, you have to give it time, you have to give it time, it takes such and such amount of time to work, and blah blah blah. But in terms of my periods, I think for the first 4 years my periods were somewhat regular, so I would have a period every month. However, there would be the occasional time where I would miss a period for a month, and then I would have a really heavy period which would probably last anywhere between 7 to 10 days. And obviously all my periods whilst I was on the pill were still really heavy. They caused me a lot of pain, stomach wise. The pain was just horrendous, and I just remember just being like, I wish that I could just have a normal period. I wish I could just be like all of my other friends who just had normal periods. The period pain didn't really bother them. They just have a little bit of pain here and there, but it wouldn't be anything like eccentric to the point of what I used to get. So obviously that was quite frustrating. And I remember so many times being at school and leaking through my clothes. It was just horrendous, and it's awkward when you're that age. Very awkward, but it can't be helped, unfortunately, and it is a part of life. So if it ever happens to you, please just don't ever feel embarrassed about it. It is one of those things that just happens. It's a part of life, it's a part of who you are as a person, and unfortunately we can't control that like substance of what happens. It just happens. So yeah, but obviously it's just life and things like that. So anyway, my periods were somewhat normal for 4 years. I then think I started reaching the age of 18 and my periods would go back to how they were previously. They would just disappear for ages, and then all of a sudden one day I'd wake up and I would be on, and I would feel really groggy. And when I first got diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, they told me that obviously it would be mandatory that every 12 months that I go for a routine checkup at the hospital to check on obviously the size of my cysts, if I've had any more develop, if some have naturally gone away, certain things like that, but that never happened. I was 13 when I first went for my first ultrasound on my ovaries, and I was supposed to go every 12 months after that. And did I go? No, because I never got a single letter through. I never got a phone call from my GP or anything to say that I had an appointment booked at the hospital to go for scans. And there was a few times where during this period as well that I actually went to the doctors because I was in so much pain with my stomach. It was just like every now and again I would get these really severe sharp pains in my stomach, to the point where the only position that I could sort of ease it was if I was like scrunched up on my front with my knees tucked right up. And it was so painful. It was horrible. And I remember going to the doctors, and I remember my doctor actually telling me that I was just constipated. And that did not sit right with me, because I was like, I am not constipated. Like, I know that I don't go to the toilet that often, but I know when I need the toilet. So it was kind of like, what? Like, you're not really listening to obviously what I'm saying. This pain was not constipation. I've had constipation pains before. I know what constipation feels like, and that was not it. Frequently happening 1 to 2 times a week, every week. In the middle of the night when I'd been asleep, I would wake up screaming and crying in excruciating pain. Obviously I can certainly say that it was not constipation, but they fobbed me off and they said that it was constipation, and they gave me some Laxido, and it didn't work. So yeah, it obviously was not constipation, because I was going to the toilet fine. Even though that I was going once a week, that was just all that my body could produce at the time, which is fine. And then obviously when I got to around 20 years old, I decided that I wanted to come off of the pill, purely because the pill for me, I felt like it had made me put a lot of weight on. It made me feel unhappy, and obviously the side effects that you can get from being on the pill are really not nice. So I remember I didn't even bother even consulting my GP, which I know that obviously you are supposed to, but however, I just felt like with the experiences that I'd already had with just being fobbed off, I obviously just felt like they would just continue to keep doing that. So I obviously just decided to come off the pill, and my periods were then regular for about 8 months. And then after that, my periods then became irregular again. So I wouldn't have a period for about 4 months, and then I'd come on for a month and a half, and then I would stop for a month, then have a period for 2 months, like 2 separate periods each month. And then I have obviously been having periods which are lasting 2 to 3 months at a time. So it is very, very annoying and frustrating. But that is just one of the downfalls, obviously, of having polycystic ovarian syndrome, is you have to expect those irregular periods. You can't pinpoint on a calendar when your period is going to be, because it might not start on that day, it might not be this day. It could change, your cycle could be longer, your cycle could be, you could bleed for 2 days and that would be it for 4 months. There is just no saying in sort of when or how long your period is going to last, when it is going to come, when it's not going to come. It is just very frustrating. So that is sort of how I got diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And obviously in between that, obviously I was told that I would have to then come off of my iron tablets, because they thought that I probably might not need them anymore. Until recently, obviously I've had to go back to the GP because I've had a period for 2 months and it has just been horrendous. So they obviously prescribed me some more iron tablets, and I think it was in 2021, I think I actually ended up going to the hospital to get checked over, because I remember coming home from doing a late shift at work, and I'd had a bath, had my tea, got into bed, and I remember really not feeling very well. It came out of nowhere. I'd been fine all day, and then all of a sudden I just remember throwing up blood, and I was quite scared because I didn't know what to do. So my first instinct was obviously to just contact 111 and ask for advice, and they were like, yep, we're going to send an ambulance out to you, blah de blah. So paramedics came out to me, they took my blood pressure, all this kind of stuff, and they advised that it would be best that if I go in and just get checked over. So I went in and obviously explained to the doctor that I saw what had been going on with my periods and things like that, and it actually came about that I had got very low red blood cell count, so I'd got more white blood cells than I have red. So obviously that can be an issue for concern, and obviously he said that was due to the amount of blood that I lose through periods and things like that, and they thought that I might have had to have had a blood transfusion whilst I was there. But he checked everything over and he said, no, you're going to be fine. We're going to give you some tranexamic acid. So these tranexamic acid tablets are designed to slow down the amount of blood that you lose during a period. Now, you can only take them for 5 days during any cycle. And these tablets make you feel really, really tired and so drowsy. But they do work. For me, they definitely do work. And obviously I've just been recently prescribed some more of those to obviously help with my periods and stuff. So there is a lot to sort of go about when you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. There is so much that goes on. There are loads of different tablets that you can be trialled and tested for. I've also been on metformin to try and help my periods. For me, I was only on those for about 6 months, and for me I found that they just didn't work. They did nothing for me. I think I had just one period whilst I was on those, and they just didn't do anything for me, so I just felt like it was a bit of a waste of time taking them if obviously I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel like they were doing anything for me. So yeah, as I said, obviously the metformin did absolutely nothing for me, so I obviously decided to come off that. But yeah, there is a lot obviously that mentally goes on in your head when you have polycystic ovarian syndrome. There are a lot of side effects that you can experience. There are obviously a lot of medications that you might try, test, certain things like that. And also there is obviously the possibility of infertility, which might come with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Now, I know that there is a lot of women out there who really do struggle with infertility because of that polycystic ovarian syndrome. I know that there is women out there who have carried babies and have had successful pregnancies, successful births, and all the different things. But there is obviously no one person that can tell you what your body is capable of doing. For me, certainly I've found that even with having a gynecologist and seeing a GP so many times over 13 years, there is not one professional that knows your body the way that you know your body. And I would just say to do what makes you and your body feel happy within itself. So eat what you want to eat, drink what you want to drink, do what you want to do. If you decide that you want to exercise every single day, if you decide that you want to just eat chocolate all day, do that, it's absolutely fine. I've had a lot of professionals telling me certain things about my body that I know are not true, but obviously I don't really want to talk about those on the internet kind of thing. But obviously I just wanted to obviously put it out there that unless you have specific proof that your body can't do a certain thing, don't let a professional define the things that you know in your mind that you and your body can do. And obviously the side effects obviously that you can experience with polycystic ovarian syndrome, so I've actually just got them up obviously on my phone, purely just because obviously there are so many and they will be different for everybody. So some of these side effects can include irregular periods or no periods at all, difficulty getting pregnant as a result of irregular ovulation or no ovulation, excessive hair growth. So most women will probably experience hair growth on the face, chest, or on the back. There will probably be weight gain, thinning hair and hair loss from the head, oily skin or acne, and it is also associated with developing type 2 diabetes and high cholesterol. So obviously everybody's symptoms are different. So for me, obviously my first instincts of sort of coming to terms with the symptoms that I had were obviously definitely my irregular periods, my acne. I haven't obviously had any facial hair growth or anything like that. I have had weight gain, and I find that it is very difficult to sort of shift certain areas on my body of excessive weight. But it shouldn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're all human, we're all beautiful, and we should just love our bodies the way that they are. And one thing that I sort of take through in my mind every day with me is to, if you have been diagnosed with PCOS or you are having symptoms and you think that you might have it, I would highly, highly advise that you obviously go and seek obviously support from your GP, and obviously just talk to them about what you think it might be. But obviously just always make sure that you don't let it define who you are, and don't let it take over your mind or the person that you are. Just be yourself and just do what you want. So for me, I will still eat junk foods, but it's one of those things, we all love junk food. And I would say that I do eat good meals. I have 3 meals a day, so I always make sure I have breakfast. I will always make sure that I have dinner, and I will always make sure that I have something to eat in the evening. And obviously I would just say, obviously, if you are experiencing with polycystic ovaries, if you are feeling very weak, very tired, very lethargic, you're feeling like you have no energy to do anything, I would highly, highly recommend just buying some little supplements that you can take every day, preferably in the morning. So I buy, I can't remember what they're called, but they have obviously different vitamins in. They have like magnesium, they have iron, all the different things that you need for energy. And you just pop it in a little bit of water, it dissolves, and it's just like an orange flavour. And I take one of those every single day, and I will admit it does help with energy, because especially for the job that I do, I need a lot of energy, I need a lot of strength, and because I'm constantly on my feet all day, I don't really have time to let my body relax until I sort of get home. So I would genuinely advise that you take some form of supplement in the morning to sort of help you get through the day. Also, hot water bottles, anything like that. Pain relief, obviously make sure that you take pain relief, but take the adequate dose that is provided on the packaging for you. And obviously just do what you think is right for your body, because I can sit here and say that I do this, I do that. That's all well and good. It might work for me, it might not work for you. Everybody's different. Everybody's body is completely different. So I know that people who I see on my For You page, people that I've spoken to, they are all at different stages with their polycystic ovarian syndrome. So some people that I know, they have cut like wheat, fibre, loads of different things from their diet, and they say that that has helped them. Some people say that they take like polycystic ovarian syndrome supplements. There's this like website where you can purchase supplements and things like that. I know that people say that a lot of exercise helps them. I know that some people say that the thing that helps them the most is just being able to relax and obviously take time to lay in bed, lay on the sofa. Everybody is different, and for me, I quite find that a mix between the two works well for me. So it works well for me being able to get regular exercise, but also at the same time knowing when my body is tired and knowing when I need to stop, before obviously I end up, you know, it's going to sound really crazy to people who might not have PCOS, but like for me, I can definitely feel my cysts sometimes. So, you know, let's say if I just glide my hand along the bottom of my stomach, I can feel like the balls of what is the cysts, basically. And sometimes I will experience sharp pains, especially if I've been moving a lot of heavy furniture, or if I've done too much. I will obviously then, usually at the end of the day, sometimes feel the pain. But I obviously do things that are good for me and that work well for me. But obviously, like I said, if you obviously want to know a bit more in detail about polycystic ovarian syndrome, I would highly advise that you go on to the NHS website and have a look at their description. So they will talk to you about, they will give you an overview about it, they will give you symptoms, they will give you causes, treatments that are available. Obviously, sometimes they say that there is no cure for polycystic ovarian syndrome. However, I know that there are some people out there that have actually managed to reverse their PCOS, and it has helped, and it's been great. For some people, they've tried it, it hasn't worked. So obviously don't get your hopes up. Obviously, if you are reading certain things on the internet about it, and just don't read too much into the things that it stops you from doing in life, because a condition doesn't really stop you from doing something. It tricks your mind into thinking that you can't do something. So, you know, I'd always make sure, obviously, that you're not reading anything that you don't want to know. And obviously, if you think that you might have it, I would highly suggest that you speak to a GP. But yeah, apart from that, obviously, anything that you need to really know about it will all be on the NHS website. Obviously, if you want to look into a bit more detail about it. Hello. So please excuse currently how I look at the minute. I'm sorry that I did not film sort of like an ending to this video, but my camera battery had died and I didn't have, well, I put it on charge, but I had things to sort out, and I've just been editing through the footage and just realised that I forgot to film the ending for the video. So I just want to say, obviously, I do apologise that the video was a bit chatty, that it kind of went on for quite a while. However, I just wanted to obviously get across sort of my diagnosis, sort of the things that I've experienced over the years. Obviously, the things that I have experienced, it might be different for other people. Some people might not have experienced any of the issues that I have talked about in the video. But obviously, like I said previously, everybody is different. And yeah, obviously, I just want you guys to know that this is a safe space to come and obviously talk about your issues with polycystic ovarian syndrome, and obviously know that you are not alone. So obviously, if you guys do have any questions about it, obviously then please feel free to obviously comment in the comment box, which is obviously down below. And obviously, if you guys have any questions, I could probably do a Q&A for you guys and try and answer sort of relevant questions that you guys might want to know in a bit more detail. So obviously I would be more than happy to do that. But yeah, obviously I just wanted to say that if you guys are obviously struggling with your diagnosis, if you have been diagnosed with PCOS, that it will get better, and you are obviously not alone. There are so many people out there who have also been diagnosed with it and who might be experiencing the same things as you. But yeah, obviously I just wanted to obviously end this video. I didn't want to end it with not obviously saying anything to you guys. So yeah, I obviously hope that you guys enjoyed this video in some form of way. I hope that it helped any of you who might be going through PCOS to hear somebody else's kind of story, and to obviously connect on a different level compared to obviously just me showing you guys different hauls and stuff. Obviously those videos will return, but I just thought it would be good to give you guys sort of an indication on something about me. But yeah, obviously I hope you guys enjoyed the video regardless. Obviously any questions that you guys have, please comment down below in the comment section. And obviously please don't forget to obviously like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope that you guys have a lovely week, whatever you're doing, spending it with friends, spending it with family, if you are working or if you are off of work. I hope that you guys just have a lovely week, and thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.